Mr. Connolly was talking about starting out, Paulie. You started out back in the 50s or so. When did you start out fighting?
Well, actually, it goes back to CYO boxing, St. Mary's Church. When we came up and boxed the Lowell teams in them days, way back, and as you well know, so that goes back to probably the early 40s. And we come up and boxed the church teams up here, oh yeah, they were real big. And of course, like he said, previous to what I said, in the whole town of Lowell, there's about probably 20 different little boxing teams scattered all around here. And this is the birthplace of amateur boxing, the Lowell Suns, you know, and that's known across the country, you know. Is one of the greatest fight towns in the United States, probably, is Lowell, Mass.
You have to seek out the people who you think are honest, understand boxing, understand the youngsters. You got to start somewhere, and you got to start at the little club to get yourself into the New England ABF. Get yourself boxing, get yourself working, and that's all I really can say. It's kind of basic. Don't you think? Kind of basic. You got to join a club, and you got to get with it.
Mr. Connolly, if our viewers are interested in promoting amateur fights or boxing, whatever, who would they get in touch with?
Well, they can always call the New England ABF at 625-2100, and that's our office in Somerville, and they can ask, we have a recorder there. They can leave their name and address on that recorder, and we will gladly get back to them and answer any and all of their questions relative to setting up clubs. There are many literature pieces put out by the National USA ABF that spell it all out, how to put a club together, what you have to do, insurance, which is the big thing. We're insured. Every kid that fights in the amateur program is insured. And that's the reason you put out an application, you fill it, and you get a fight book where all these fights are recorded. And like last night, I was at Ledyard. There was a couple kids got injured, and the first thing that happened was everything stopped, and the doctor looked them over. Now they're covered. If they had a serious injury and have to go to the hospital or something, they have some place to start.
Well, also, thank you, Mr. Connolly. It's an interesting thing to do, especially at the younger kids' age. They gives them something to do other than hang around on the streets, say.
Without blowing our own whistle, I'm putting out something here.
Get some.
At one of the shows I gave this to you fellas.
Yes, sir.
And if you wanna just read in here, it tells you what it does for the youngsters. If I can find it without my glasses. That proves I'm getting old. We tell you what it builds up in a youngster, what it does for them. You know, how it
affects them.
How it affects them mentally, physically, and it gives them, yes it does, and it gives them something to strive for. I better take them out.
See, this is the brochure that we had. We had one at the.
I think you'll find in there a statement about what we believe. What is amateur boxing? Is it dangerous? How about safety? This is all on one page there that we put together. I put this book together myself every year, and I'm kind of proud of it because I don't know of any other organization that puts something like this together. Although it's an ad book, we don't really treat it as an ad book. This book actually pays for our New England annual tournament, the trophies, the whole bit. The rest of it goes into our general fund. We don't make a fortune on it. We make a few $1,000s, which just about covers. And here's what I referred to here. And this really, and if you'd like me to read it, I'll read it.
Please do, Mr. Connolly.
The title of this is, What is Amateur Boxing? Amateur boxing is a sport. It's totally different from professional boxing in its goals, objectives, scoring, and equipment. In amateur boxing, points are scored by landing clean blows, regardless of their power. A power punch that knocks an opponent down scores the same as a left jab. Consequently, a boxer's goal should be to outbox his opponent by landing numerous clean, effective blows rather than going for the knockout that may not happen. properly coached and supervised, amateur boxing can be extremely fulfilling and useful experience for youths. And this is the punchline here, I would say. It can be used as a vehicle to instruct in sportsmanship, values of conditioning, positive release of frustration and energies, in addition to building self-confidence and character. Amateur boxing can also provide a youth with the opportunity to satisfy the basic need of recognition in a positive manner. All too often, this need is met through delinquent behavior. And then we say we have a blurb here about, is amateur boxing safe?
Well, see, that makes it great.
Kind of puts it together, I think. I just think so, Paul. Did you? I think they get.
See, what we saw when we did see the NEABF on ABT from Whitman, we
You know, you've got to put it right in there. You know,
That tells the whole story about
I think any.
very gentlemanly action in there, sure.
Very good. It's a very good job, and coming from no better than a man who's been there all his life and worked with not hundreds of kids, but thousands of them. And he couldn't have wrote it any better than this. And just
Down here to say the thing, we hit on it briefly. A lot of the parents are worried, what happens to my kid if he gets hurt? Will he get hurt? And that kind of briefly, you can only say so much in a small paragraph, and we try to cover it without overdoing it. And that's about the size of it. And I think you won't find any better group of guys to work with than the officials, the referees, the judges, and all the people associated with the New England ABF. I think you got a wonderful bunch of guys. Believe me.